Okay, we are in Chartres, and this is the cathedral, and this is a perfect example of a Gothic cathedral. This one's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It's Sunday here in France, and there is a mass going on inside right now. So I will take a bit of video inside. You're allowed to do that while mass is going on, but I won't be saying anything, so thought I would just say it out here. But yeah, this is a very, very impressive cathedral. Similar in size to Notre Dame, and you can see the flying buttresses here, which would have been holding up the roof of Notre Dame as well if it hadn't have burned. So pretty impressive. This is the front, and it's so impressive that I'm gonna have to back up. What you'll see in here is that the stained glass has a lot of blue in it, which is particular to this region of France, and that specific blue is called Chartres bleu. So very, very, very impressive cathedral. Unreal. This is our second stop of the day here. This is a little market just outside of the Chateau de Chambord, which is a very famous palace here in the area southwest of France, of Paris. Before we go up to the chateau, we're in this little square here where they sell some things, and apparently we're gonna go sample some biscuits, some cookies, and a drink. All right, so here's the Place de Chambord and some of the gardens out front. There is a massive set of grounds here. We drove in for a very long way. Most of it is not gardens. Most of it is what they used as hunting grounds. And apparently there's quite a few wild boars and deer here still within the forest. So you can understand why it was a hunting area. Lots of towers and spires and chimneys on this building, and apparently the ruler that built it wanted the roof to look like the skyline of Istanbul. This is the rear view of the palace. 400 rooms, and apparently the king it was made for didn't stay here that much. It's a little bit surprising sometimes, the opulence of these places, and then they weren't used much for their intended purposes. But all right, so we're now out front of the castle, the palace of Chambord, built for Francois Premier, the Francois the First. And there's a moat on this one, an active moat. A lot of them have moats that we've seen, but they've been drained. But this one's got a moat, so pretty cool. And then some gardens. We can't go in there because we don't have time, and we'd have to pay to go inside, and we have to be back on our bus, so we get a quick view. But what an impressive place. All right, so I'm standing here in the courtyard just before the palace. There's a little side building here. Very interesting, but very nice design. And then the palace itself here. Now this is the front of the palace, and this is the section that was primarily lived in, but then there's the walkway and the arches that go over the river itself that were added to at a later date. So I'll show those next, but thought I'd just show this little courtyard, and you can see the gardens here off to the side, and there's another set of gardens on the other side. And I also think I forgot to say where we were. The name of this is the Palace of Chenonceaux, or the Ladies' Palace. Yeah, and there's Raylan and Kieran just across the way, enjoying the shade. Another 30-degree day here in France. There's a little courtyard area here. This is surrounded by grapes growing, and it leads you down into an area where you could have boarded boats. It's a dock. This hallway is sitting above the arches that span the river. So a nice space that can be relatively open-aired, and then looks out over the river Cher. And this was significant because this was only one of the very, very few crossing points over the river, and so the occupants here of the castle would charge people to come through this area, which would allow access to both banks. So very interesting. And again, you on the other side here, the palace gardens, the castle gardens in the distance, and then the river Cher. All right, we're in the basement here of the palace, in the kitchen area. You see an oven here, baking some bread. You got the fireplace here to roast some meat, some storage over there, and then pots and pans, and a little table area here. Very interesting. So this area is the butchery. This is where they slaughtered the meat, or dressed the meat. They have all kind of utensils here. This is an interesting one. They had access to water by these wells and these wheels. And then, yeah, this table's used to put an animal up and butcher and get it ready to go over to this roasting spit on the other side that I showed already. A little kitchen area here with a table, another big fireplace, and this one overlooking the river outside. And again, because of the proximity of the water, they had a lot of these fountains. They could access the water. Lots of areas down here to cook in. Very big. It would have been a relative relatively modern stove, I suppose. Lots of pots and pans. All kinds of cooking went on in here. Alright, so I'm standing on a second floor rampart here. You can see the beautiful gardens in the distance, and then this is the courtyard, the main courtyard that leads into the palace. And then this bridge is what brings you into the palace, and then another set of gardens over here, another beautiful set of gardens, and here's the rampart that I'm walking on, which enters into the second floor. You can actually get up onto the third floor as well. So I'm up on the third floor here. One thing I like about this palace, it's different than some of the others, is this one's relatively well decorated. And you got plants and tables and some of the original tapestries. And a lot of castles we go to, it's just pictures, art. And this one's adorned with a lot of furniture. Alright, so here are the left-hand gardens. Beautifully manicured gardens. The fountain in the middle. And walled. Very nice. Probably the nicest well-kept gardens I've seen so far on this trip. And then just over here, on the other side of the moat, is the palace. And see people enjoying the river around the palace here. All right, and here you can clearly see the river Cher, and here it is, the palace. And again, it's only the part on the right-hand side here that's the lived-in part, and then you've got the piece that spans the river with the arches there. That was added at a later date. There are some bedrooms in there, but that was added at a later date. Originally that wasn't there, so. And there are drawbridges on either end. Narrow little drawbridges, you can see them there, so that if you wanted to lift them up, nobody could get in. And the castle would be isolated. Very, very interesting indeed. Alright, so we're just approaching the castle maze. We've been hoping to see a maze at one of these castles, and none of them had them, and we've been told that many of them were taken out, but we found one. And here we go. Kieran's already inside. Now he's so tall that he can almost see his way around anyway, which is funny. He'd never get lost in here. Raylin is chirping from the peanut gallery outside there, saying that he's cheating. He kind of is. Yeah, he's definitely got an advantage, which is funny. Well, this is the road that leads into the castle. Beautiful canopy trees here. Straight line to the castle. And if I go this way, same thing. So long entranceway here. Beautiful farmyard here. We just finished what's called a Be Your Guest experience with Trafalgar. So what happens is we were invited to this local farmyard, this little courtyard in front of me, to eat. We had some things that I've never eaten before, which was very cool. And one of those things was guinea fowl, roasted guinea fowl. And then we also had some wine and some champagne from this region. These are the fields next to this farm. I have no idea what they're growing. One thing about this time of year here in France, what you'll see right in front of me, is that wheat field right here has been harvested. So the grain here is ripe. Not all of it's been harvested yet, but most of it is ready to be harvested. This one's actually been harvested, and the fields to the west of here still have wheat, but they are definitely ready. And it is July 9th, so that tells you how far ahead they are than the rest of Canada in terms of harvesting. But look at this beautiful setting. Beautiful farmyard. We got some ducks swimming here in this little creek next to the farm. And this beautiful farmyard. And this nice courtyard in here where they fed us. So amazing experience